Hot take. Some components just aren't worth making yourself. That's why every date picker looks the same. That's why most marketing websites have the same little intercom chat on them. As useful as those features are, the time it would take for you and your team to build it yourself just isn't worth it. And that's why Sentry reached out to sponsor a video today about a new component that they made, the user feedback component. Thank you so much, Sentry, for sponsoring this. Really excited to show this off. It's a thing I've been planning on making myself for a while, and honestly, I'm just thankful I don't have to. Before we go further, though, we should figure out what a user feedback component is. I have a fun example here on my phone. And here we see I'm on my Instagram feed. What if I'm having some bug on the app, though? Well, all I have to do is shake my phone, and now we get this little report a technical problem. Because sometimes you have a problem and the phone didn't error, or you didn't hit the right edge case, or you click a link and it doesn't go anywhere. Those types of bugs are really hard to catch automatically. And honestly, more apps need functionality like that. But sadly, it's kind of hard to write it. And even if you do get it right, the likelihood that it fits well into your website and that you have a way to collect that data in the first place, it gets messy fast. Make sure you stick around to the end, especially if you're a Next.js dev, because I spent a lot of time making this work and do some fun things within Next and also showcase some cool Next.js features. So without further ado, let's dive in. Sentry just introduced the new user feedback widget to make it way easier for you to get feedback from your users. Obviously, Sentry's already great for catching errors in more traditional environments, like when you throw an error, they're a great way to catch it and figure out what happened. But if you have bugs that you're not throwing errors for, a feedback widget is really useful. They have a simple example here. Let's rewind this to the start. We have this page. There's a typo for the mood ring for plants. And now you have this little report a bug button that appears on the site. It's super easy to just click the button. And now you have a little form for reporting the issue that you had. Makes it way easier now for your team to go to the same place they already go to debug things and have access to the feedback that these users gave. It's super, super handy, but it's also super easy to set up. I want to show you guys how quick it is to set up fast. So I already have my tutorial project here for the Create T3 app tutorial I recently did open. Let's add it. So we already have Sentry set up. Watch the tutorial if you want to see how easy that was. I'm going to go copy paste the code to actually set it up. This is coming straight from the Sentry changelogs. We have integration, sentry.feedback integration. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to my code. Already in the Sentry client config. Note that this is the client config because we don't need this on the server. Paste. Going to go make sure we're up to date though, because I'm almost certain that the feedback integration widget did not exist when I made this originally. So we're going to go to the Sentry Next.js package. Delete, delete, delete. Latest is 8.11.0. Awesome. I'll do a fresh pnpm install, pnpm dev, and look at that. Now we have this report a bug button. That is so convenient. Now, if I want to report a bug, I can do that. I can click add a screenshot and screenshot the page I'm on right now. Say, my name is Theo. Please subscribe at gmail.com. What's the bug? I thought the thumbnails Theo made would be better. Cool. So now you have a screenshot. We have all this additional context. I can even crop to make sure it's only the right amount of stuff. Getting cropped things like that right is more annoying than you might think. Someone who's been working on it a lot recently. Send the bug report. Now if I go to my Sentry, sign back in. So here I am in my Sentry. Here's the feedback. We can immediately load the screenshot. We can see the replay, which is super, super handy as well. So we can actually watch all the things the user did to get here in the first place, which is super, super handy. It's all the things you would ever want from a user reporting an issue. What if you want to customize when this widget appears, though? I actually just spent some time chatting with Sentry to make sure we can get this just right. I have a simple hook here. I'll even throw the gist in GitHub in the description for you so you can copy it for now. But in the future, they might even add a hook to the SDK to make this way easier. But for now, we're going to do a basic example where, as you can see, the button does not appear when I'm signed out. I'm currently signed out of the app. But if I was to sign in, now the widget reappears. So we have the setup, so it's only there if you're signed in. It's not there if you're not. Pretty common use case, which is why I think it's important to have a good workflow to get there, and we'll customize the component a bit along the way too. So the first thing you need to do is in this feedback integration, when you actually call the integrations here, pass it a configuration object with auto inject false. This is just telling Sentry, hey, by the way, I don't want this injected by default, which means that when the page loads, it won't automatically load this and integrate it into the page. So now that that's been called, we need to trigger it at some point. I actually wrote a custom hook here, use feedback widget. I have a bit of an annoying state call just to make sure we have the thing here. I'm just taking the return type off create widget setting it as null by default. And then we have a use effect. I passed this custom hook a Boolean should mount. So if should mount and there is no widget yet, then we create a new widget and then set it. Then I have another case here for if should mount is false and the widget does exist, which means we've flipped the flag, then we want to make sure we actually get rid of the widget. So we remove it from the DOM and then set it to null. Pretty simple hook. I have it called here with Sentry feedback widget. I grab auth from clerk. You guys know I love that. And then we use the use feedback widget, a double not to make sure this is a Boolean. Auth question mark dot is signed in. So this will now let us know for a fact whether or not we're signed in. One more important piece here is that I'm importing it in the root layout. Right now I have this set to SSR false, but I think with the changes I just made, that won't even be necessary anymore. So let's see if that is the case. We'll go back here and import Sentry feedback widget. Go to the page again. Look at that. Still working just fine. Make sure this is in the body tag if you can, because if it's not, things can break in weird ways. Even now my types are breaking in weird ways. That's a strange error that I did not expect. But if you were to move this Sentry feedback widget to be like here, that can cause some strange problems. I know it was for me when I was first setting this up. So make sure you put the feedback widget somewhere in your root body, in your root HTML. And now this appears when you're signed in. And if I click here and sign out, it disappears. Pretty simple, useful little thing. Also a great pattern if you're looking to play with custom hooks to integrate third-party stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've had to write a hook that is basically just this. Thankfully, Sentry team might add it in the near future. They make it very easy to target and change things in here directly. So let's make some quick changes. First, I want to turn off the branding. I love you guys, Sentry, but I don't need every one of my users knowing who is providing this. The type safety is not there yet, so we have to grab that ourselves. Show branding false. Again, this is just in the Sentry client config file. And with that one change, we are no longer showing the Sentry branding. We have custom theming for light and dark. I also just realized we're using the system theme, which I do not want to use. I want this to always be dark. So let's make sure we set color scheme to be dark. Guarantee that will always be dark. And now we can actually customize the theming. So let's customize theme dark, because that's the theme we will be using. And yeah, we'll start with that, see how it looks. Oh yeah, already so much better. Look at how easy that was to do. It's always nice when they make things like this customizable enough that you don't feel the need to change much, but if you want to quickly make it fit your brand a bit better with some colors, you can. Love that they made this easy enough to quickly target things. Love that there's a little diagram to show you how to target specific things if you want to make changes to any element specifically without changing the whole thing. Great stuff. And I like that with just these couple additional lines in the config, now this works great. That's all I got. Let me know what components you wish already existed in the comments, and until next time, peace nerds.